Is Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson made news yesterday, not certainly for the 1/par-71 that he shot, but for the shot that he fired at Modern Architecture. Doesn't mention the redesigner by name here, Rees Jones, but here's what Phil had to say.
I think this is a great site for the tournament. I really do. It's perfect because there's some really hard holes and there's some really easy holes for birdies. And I think it's going to be exciting to watch. You're going to see a lot of calamity coming down the stretch, and you're going to see a lot of birdies, early and late in the round, in the middle of the round. But and again, it's a wonderful site. But the four holes, the 4-par-3s, are one example. There's a number of others throughout the course that is the reason why participation in this sport is going down. It's because of this modern architecture that doesn't let the average guy play it. Now, we have no problem playing these holes. But when you put water in front and a bunker in back, and you give the player no vehicle to run a shot up, that the member can't play. And that's why membership down here, the participation on this golf course is down like 25%. And it's every course throughout, that it seems that modern architects, not all of them, there's some great ones, Crenshaw, Coor, and Gil Hans, David Kidd, there's some great ones, but the guy that redid this one, it's great for the championship, but it's not great for the membership. Understand, I like making the hard holes harder, so I've got no problem on 15 moving the tee back to 260. It's one of the hardest par 3s here, and to move it back and make it even harder, I think just makes it a par make up even more ground on the field. So I've got no problem with that. And there's some holes that are birdie holes like 10, 11, and 12 that are fairly easy and benign holes. And so that's why I say it's a great site for the tournament. I think it's going to be fun, but you've got to get your birdies early because the last 4 holes is unlikely to make them there. It was a fun, great golf course. And what this is a long, hard golf course. It's not fun, it's not great, it's not exciting, it's not, there's no intimacy. It's just long and it's hard, and that's what it is. The greens here are spectacular, and the fairways are the best I've ever seen. They truly are the best fairways I've ever seen, and the greens are immaculate shape.
All right. He says it's no longer a fun golf course. It's long and hard. He takes a shot at the modern architects, saying they're really taking so much of the enjoyment away from the average player. By the way, the club disputes Phil's contention that the number of rounds down here, they definitely dispute that. So, Charlie, to you, agree, disagree with what Phil is saying here?
I actually agree with a lot of it, and let me try and first shed a little bit of light on my interpretation of what Phil said. I don't think he has any problems with this golf course for this championship. First of all, on a 10 scale, it's a 10 out of 10 in terms of conditioning, and it's an extremely challenging golf course, and I don't think there's any doubt that it will identify the best player. But we're in a time where participation in golf is down a little bit, and some of the areas that have been identified as hurting our game are the time it takes to play, and the amount of money it takes to play this game, and the difficulty. And if you look at a golf course like the Highlands course at Atlanta Athletic Club, it's a double black diamond. If you compare it to a ski slope, it's a double black diamond. It's great for these guys. It will identify the best player, but there's not an intermediate slope, there's not a bunny slope. I think that's what Phil Mickelson is talking about here. Now, he didn't go on to point out that this is actually a 36-hole facility. There's another 18 holes here. It's a very good golf course. In fact, it's hosted the U.S. Women's Open, but that may be the place where the golfers here at this club want to go and play a little bit easier golf course. But it's an issue that's a hot button right now, Tim, in our game, and it'll continue to be so. We're seeing some initiatives being put forth by the PGA and the USGA tee it forward. There's talk of maybe going to a bigger cup to help beginners and amateurs have a little bit more fun playing golf.
Charlie, specifically, he was talking about Rees Jones, the Open Doctor, and lately you'd think that Rees has become son of Pete Dye for the heat he's been taking, not only from Phil, but Paul Casey and other players. And you go to places like Torrey Pines, especially, guys who are used to the old layout, and Phil in particular, who grew up on that golf course, critical of that. Congressional didn't take as much heat, but there was an undercurrent of it. Cog Hill, the work up there, Rees has put himself in a spot where, he is taking some heat right now, quite honestly. And I think that's sort of the root here, or some of the roots of where he was coming from. And I think Rees does a great job, obviously. This is not my personal criticism. I'm just collecting data.
They're staging these championships for the best players in the world, not the 11 handicapped. 10 years removed from the last staging of the PGA here at the Atlanta Athletic Club, technology, fitness dictates you have to do something. So they stretch it by 270 plus yards. They move those fairway bunkers down another 30, 40 yards. I mean, don't they have to do those things?
But here's the problem. The technology, the fitness, that's benefiting the professionals more than it's benefiting the amateurs. So when you start stretching a golf course to 7,500 yards, 7,800 yards, 8,000 yards, the professionals can still go out and play those golf courses because they're getting the benefit of all the technology that we've seen. The rank and file amateur, the folks that pay the bills in this game, they feel like they need to get back to 7,500 yards. When that happens, they have no fun.
Who's playing it at 7,500?
I played a couple guys yesterday afternoon.
I'm not. I mean,
play a little bit longer.
No, thank you.
But it's an issue. It's an issue in our game, and you have to accommodate the professionals. You have to challenge them. You have to identify the best player. But you've still got to give the amateurs a chance to go out, play this game, and have fun.
I think Mickelson's point is well taken, and hopefully mine is too, that to be a successful golf course designer, you used to have to be controversial. I think we've evolved into a different era now. I don't think players want to go out and try to play 7,500 yards, the PGA West, the ones that you went out and said, I played from the tips and I shot 102. I don't think we're there anymore. So there is a dichotomy between preparing it for the major championships and then what's left the other 51 weeks of the year and the other 9 years.
Yeah, it's not an easy proposition. It's certainly not.